Welcome to Everyday Counseling, a podcast about understanding emotional patterns as they show up in everyday life. There's a moment many people experience quietly. Nothing dramatic has happened, there hasn't been a big decision or major life event, but something feels slightly different. The old version of you doesn't quite fit the way it used to. You might notice this at work first. You speak up in a meeting where you'd usually stay quiet. You don't volunteer for the extra task automatically. You pause before agreeing. It feels small but unfamiliar. Or with family, you stop stepping in to the usual role. You don't smooth things over immediately. You don't absorb tension the way you once did. The room feels subtly different, and so do you. This stage can feel unsettling, not because something is wrong, but because identity is shifting in motion. The story you've been living by loosens slightly, and there's a period where you're not entirely sure who you are without it. Earlier, we explored how self perception shapes behavior. When that perception begins to soften, behavior changes first, and behavior changing creates instability. You might feel slightly exposed, slightly unsure, even slightly guilty. If you've always been a dependable one, saying no feels strange. If you've always been the independent one, asking for help feels uncomfortable. If you've always been the calm one, expressing frustration feels risky. The discomfort doesn't mean the change is wrong, it means the system is adjusting. There's often a quiet tension in this phase. Part of you recognizes that the old role was limiting, another part feels loyalty to it. After all, the role kept things stable for a long time. You may even notice others reacting subtly before you do. A raised eyebrow, a comment, a shift in tone, not necessarily resistance, but recognition that something is different. That's because roles create equilibrium. When you play your part consistently, others organize themselves around it. When you change your part, the balance shifts. This is where instability can increase slightly. You might question yourself, was I too abrupt, too distant, too different? The temptation is to slide back into the familiar version because it restores predictability. But this phase is important. It's the space between an old identity and a more flexible one. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about widening who you are allowed to be. For many adults in their 30s, 40s, 50s, this stage arrives quietly. Responsibilities have changed, capacity has changed, insight has grown, but behavior hasn't fully caught up. When it does begin to catch up, there's a period of adjustment. You might feel steadier internally, but less certain socially. You might notice that you no longer react as strongly in certain situations, yet feel slightly unsure about how to position yourself instead. That uncertainty is part of growth. It's easy to mistake it for regression, but often it's a sign that something rigid is softening. Change in identity is rarely dramatic, it's incremental. A different tone here, a different boundary there, a slightly different response in a familiar situation. Over time, these small shifts accumulate. The old story loosens without needing to be erased. But here's the part people don't always anticipate. When you change, even subtly, other people notice. And sometimes they don't adjust at the same pace. In the next episode, we'll explore what happens when you change and it unsettles other people, why familiar dynamics can feel disrupted, and why shifts in one person often require shifts in others.